Very good afternoon to one and all, and welcome to this special public webinar. It's going to be delivered by Dr. Kanika Malik, who's a principal scientist at CSIR National Institute of Science, Communication and Policy Research. He'll be talking to us on the topic career opportunities for science students with focus on IPR, that is intellectual property rights. And this particular program is part of the school outreach program jointly organized by the National Academy of Sciences India Delhi chapter and Deen Dayal Upadhyaya College, University of Delhi, under the aegis of the VT Star College program. And I have with us as a panelist, my two esteemed colleagues, Dr. Gitika and Dr. Poonam Kasturi. Dr. Gitika is from Maharaja Agrawal College, Department of Electronics Science, and Dr. Poonam Kasturi is a senior faculty in Department of Electronics, Deen Dayal Upadhyaya College. So before inviting Dr. Kanika, let me briefly introduce her to all of you. So as I told that she is a principal scientist in CSIR National Institute of Science, Communication and Policy Research, New Delhi. She is PhD in biotechnology and has 26 years of professional experience, out of which 18 years in the field of IPR. She has served as examiner of patents and design in Delhi branch patent office with the Ministry of Commerce and Industries, and was actively involved in the amendment of Indian Patent Act 2002. Currently, Dr. Kanika Malik is the editor of Journal of IPR and Applied Innovative Research Journal, published from CSIR NISCARE, and also handling the business development, innovation, entrepreneurship, and diffusion research programs of the institute. With these words, I now invite Dr. Kanika to kindly share her screen.
Thank you so much, Professor Manoj Saxena. And I was very delighted to be on this platform with you. And it is a very noble cause, I should say, because we are bridging the gap between the school and then the universities, academics, and then research programs. And IPR being totally a techno-legal field. So it also involves the legal parameters. So I'm very delighted to be on this platform with you. I'll just share my presentation, and I'm given, I hope, 30 minutes, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I request the attendees to kindly type their questions in the chat section, which we will take up at the end of the talk.
Yeah. Is it fine?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So we'll be talking about intellectual property rights. And the students are the science students, I suppose, Dr. Saxena? Professor Saxena, are we talking to the science students or the students from other fields also? Hello, am I audible?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, am I audible, Dr.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, you are audible, ma'am. And primarily the students are science background students.
Okay. Thank you. So this presentation is about the career in intellectual property rights, starting from studying science in school and then in college, and finally dealing with the intellectual property rights. So I'll be telling about what are intellectual property, what are the rights we are talking about, and how we will be dealing in these rights being a science students, because I told in the beginning that it is a techno-legal field. So technology plus legality both are involved. So first I'll briefly introduce what we mean by intellectual property. Property, all of us know that property is some kind of possessive embodiment which we possess and we have complete right over it. So like we have a piece of land, or a paper or a notebook or anything or pen. So that belongs to us, that amounts to our property. So our property, we can use it in any form which we feel like. So there is the whole owners, the whole ownership of that property lies to the property holder. In the similar manner, these intellectual properties are also being dealt with. So properties are of two types, tangible and intangible. Tangible properties are the properties which we can see and we can touch, and they have some physical kind of form. But intangible properties are those, though they are property, they have the same properties, same rights, but they are intangible. And intellectual property is such type of intangible property to which we have complete right. So intellectual property can further be divided into industrial property as well as copyright or related rights. So we will be talking about the two types of rights, intellectual property rights. Industrial rights are the rights which we have at industrial level. So these type of properties, they can be exploited, they can be commercialized, and some amount of heavy amount of, we can say, economy can be generated out of these exploitation of this type of intellectual property. Hence they are being considered as industrial property. While if we say the copyright are in a certain field where we exclude others from having right of copy. In copyright, we have similar rights on a certain product, while in industrial property, we have only a limited rights. In copyright, we have unlimited rights. It is a bundle of rights we have. So we'll be talking about what kind of rights in copyrights we have. When we talk about the industrial property, all these patents, designs, trademarks, trade secrets, geographical indications, all these come under the purview of industrial property, because all the properties in this particular category can be exploited at commercial level. So when we talk about patents, so patents are the type of intellectual property rights which are being given in a certain field, only in the field of science and technology. So if some kind of intellectual effort is there in the advancement or the improvement of any technology or any scientific development, then we can apply for a right on that particular improvement through patents. While designs, they go for the outer appearance of any product. That becomes the purview of protection under the Designs Act. Then we have trademarks. Trademarks are the certain goods or services which differentiate others' goods and services who are in the same business, right? So if there are two companies, they are working in the same kind of field. So both the companies, if they want to differentiate with their products, so when they have the different trademarks, then they can have certain type of, like you can say, consumer satisfaction. Okay, this particular company has this trademark, so I can go for this trademark because I know this company has certain values and it will fulfill those particular values because this trademark belongs to that company. So trademarks, what they do, they just bring goodwill or the brand name to a particular commodity or a service. So that's why they are protected under the trademarks. Then we have trade secrets. Trade secrets are they can be a formula, they can be some theorems, they can be some procedures which are involved in the development of a product or a service. So these trade secrets, they are absolute, they are absolutely with that particular company. They are never be shared. So they are never made public. Hence, they are protected under the trade secrets. While trademarks, what we say, how they are different. Trademarks are made in public. So they are for the public to differentiate, while trade secrets are not for the public, they are for only for the competitors. Then comes to the geographical indications. Geographical indications are the, we can say that they are the names or the tags which are given to certain products. Why they are given? Because they are protected by certain community or a society which belongs to a particular geographical location, and it is specifically for the those products which develop or inculcate the properties by virtue of their climatic conditions being into that particular region. Then only they qualify for the protection under the GI Act. So this is basically how the protection, it is about the protection of your rights and as well as not trespassing into the rights of the others. So whole intellectual property rights is about your right protection and the others' rights protection. Then I was talking about industrial property and then its difference with the copyright. So copyright is the right which is given to the copyright holder on the product which he or she created. So they have created something which is very much original. It is called as original works of authorship. So they have complete authorship over their product and they exclude others from copying, from reproducing in any other form, from translating, anything. That original work, they cannot be like copied as it is verbatim from the, without the consent of author. So that becomes the purview of copyright. And copyright is, in the copyright, the subject matter is not protected. Copyright is only about the form of expression. I'll give you one example. Like we have seen this Ramayana. So Ramayana was, we all of us know that it was written by Valmiki, right? So Valmiki wrote Ramayana, but after that, it was in a certain poetic manner, right? And after that, when we read Ramayana, it is in various forms. There are films on Ramayana, there are audio cassettes on Ramayana, then we have songs on Ramayana, then we have its translation in different languages, like that. So it is a different form of the same theme, same idea, same story. So every expression has its own copyright and they enjoy these rights up to the time limit or the term of that right. Like in copyright, it is of longer duration, while in patents and others, it is of very shorter duration. Patents, the term of the patent is given for 20 years. 20 years from the date of filing with the patent office, right? So when we talk about copyright, so copyright, we need not to go for registration to any copyright registry, though there is a registry. If we go for registration, then it is all right. But otherwise also, these intellectual property rights are different from industrial property because by virtue of their creation, they are protected. So if you have to establish that it is your copyright, you have to have some kind of proof or evidence that you created. It is your original work of authorship. So ultimately, all the bundle of rights related to copyright will come to the author. Like that, they are protected. So, and if they want to register it through some, they want to give it some legal sanctity, then also we have the Copyright Act, which is enacted in India, Copyright Act of 1957. It is still prevailing. So I told you that once you create or you write a book or you write a story or any kind of intellectual workmanship is involved, then the complete right is on for making a film. So that particular author only has the right to make a film. Now it is up to the author that if he wants to sell his story to some producer. So if the producer gets the right, then only he can produce the film on the novel or the story of that author. Otherwise, all the rights are with the copyright holder. In case of, I told you that industrial property and patents are in science and technology, but when it comes out to softwares, so software in India per se, as such, they cannot be protected under the Patent Act. Though it is a science and technology is involved, they are byproduct of some technological advancement, some algorithms are involved, right? But still they are protected only under the copyright if they are just the softwares. But if these softwares, they are involved in some hardware and they are an integral part of that hardware, then it becomes the subject matter of protection under the patents. Similarly, we have if it is a sculpture. So sculptures are also a matter of copyright. They are not protected otherwise. It is a copyright protection under intellectual property rights. Similarly, in case of, I have shown you this book of J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter. Harry Potter, we know that it is a fiction story. But if this fiction story is being produced in a film, this is a book, but there are many films. So J.K. Rowling must have given her rights or assigned her rights to other other people, like some film producer, to make a film, and now J.K. Rowling does not have any right if she assigned all the producer's rights to a producer, right? So now she only has those rights which are other, like she can prevent others from copying it in a book form. She can prevent others from copying in some adaptation, some other adaptation, like say in a like if some drama company comes to J.K. Rowling and wants that they want to play some drama over this fiction, so they can apply to her and she can assign, but it is only up to the copyright holder whether she is interested or not. So likewise, the paintings or any form of art also becomes the subject matter which can be protected under the copyrights. Now we see, I have shown you these masks, these totem poles, and these type of marble structures and all. All these totem poles are like we have seen that they belong to certain tribal communities, which and the villages, and some of them are being worshipped. They have some religious values also. So likewise, they are also a part of copyright, and they are a creation of some intellectual creation with a certain purpose. So all these things, they become the purview of, they come under the purview of copyright, and they are not protected under industrial property rights. Why I am telling you all these things, what type of intellectual property rights and what is covered and what is not covered, and how we can like exploit our rights, and what is the legal sanctity. Because if you want to have some kind of career in intellectual property rights, so it has got a like I can say, like in each and every field, whether it's from art or it's from science or it is from commerce stream you belong to, all these students, they can see their career in intellectual property rights. Now comes to industrial property. So I was telling you, like patents are given by all these properties, intellectual properties, they have legal sanctity. Legal sanctity means they are covered under certain law, and like other laws we have, common laws like civil law, we have criminal law, human rights law, all these type of laws. In the similar manner, we have the patent law, we have the designs law, Design Act, Trademarks Act, Geographical Indications Act. Likewise, we have many acts under which we can protect our property in the similar manner which we do in other types of actions or in other types of properties. So patents, I have given an example of furniture caster, right? So patents are given to the inventions only. Inventions have to be in science and technology, only for the products and the process and the method of manufacturing of that particular process or a product. So all these things are covered. These three things are covered in the patents. If the technological advancement do not fulfill the criteria of an invention, then it cannot be protected under the patents. So what is the difference between invention or some discovery? Discovery is what we discover, it was already there in the like globe, it was present somewhere, but it was not before our eyes. But invention involves some human intellectual effort, and it was a creation of some human brain, so that becomes an invention, right? That small technological advancement. A simple example is this furniture caster. There was some problem with the furniture. We were unable to move the furniture from one place to another. So somewhere, someday, someone who was intellectual enough to invent these wheels, right? They are simple wheels. So he used these wheels for the movement of furniture. And he designed those wheels like this. We can say that this was the primitive one, then became this advancement, then became this advancement. So all three these wheels, they can be protected, though they are the same, the wheels for the same purpose. But there was technological advancement. There was some problem with furniture. So wheels were invented. Then wheels were put into the put beneath the furniture. Then the furniture was easy to move. Then we invented further to create this type of wheel. It has certain advantages which was not there in this wheel. So this can also be patented. Likewise, we have now this wheel. This is further advancement, and it has got some aesthetic look also. So all these things become the subject matter of patent, and these three can be patented. I'll give you a normal example of U-clip, right? So a simple U-clip was also patented. Can you see what was the potential in that U-clip? Earlier, there were all pins to clip those papers, loose papers. Then there was certain disadvantage with the all pin, that it was sharp and it used to hurt our fingers or anybody else. So then this U-clip, the same, we can say the same all pin, it was folded in a particular manner so that we can clip certain amount of papers with it, and it was free of any injury. So that became the subject matter. So you can see that these small inventions, they can also be protected. So there is the amount of potential, there is huge potential in this market of protection under the Patents Act. So you can think of in this slide. Then comes to designs. So any industrial design, these I have shown you the Coca-Cola company's bottles, like the same drink in different bottles. So all these different bottles, they are being protected under the industrial designs by the Coca-Cola company. Why? Because that Designs Act protects any shape, any outer shape of a product, it becomes the criteria. Doesn't matter with that whether the product or whatever the material or the drink is same, but the shape is different. So they have so many designs. Now, what is the advantage of these having so many designs by the same company for the same drink? Is that now they can sell their product, the same product, in different designs at different rates. Now look at the market they are earning, the huge amount which is being involved, why they are having so many designs of the same product. So this is any shape, any pattern. Pattern means 1D, 2D or 3D pattern, any kind of outer appearance or any configuration of the product that can be protected under the designs. And likewise, we have the trademarks. I told you that trademarks, they differentiate between the two companies, and they make consumers aware about the certain brand or reputation which a company owns. So trademarks are any words or a name or a logo which is being associated with the company with the brand and with the product, so that the consumer is not getting confused with the reputation which is being earned by the company. Like this is a Godrej trademark, right? So Godrej, we can write Godrej in a Times New Roman font also, but that is not the Godrej which is being written in this certain manner. So if in a product you find this Godrej trademark, so you have certain amount of like satisfaction, or you have certain amount of faith that okay, if this product is from a Godrej, so this product will have certain amount of reputation, or it is of certain amount of quality is involved. So whatever Godrej has earned in these many years of its inception is being attributed to that particular product just because they have this trademark registered. So no other company with the name Godrej can have this trademark, right? Similar is the case of Pepsi. This is printed on a can. If this particular logo is being printed on any other product which Pepsi launches, so you will have the amount of reputation for that company, and you will go for buying that product just because it is a Pepsi product. So this is the you can say this is the reputation which is being associated with the trademark and the product and the brand in itself with the company. And the geographical indications, if we talk about, these are about the place of origin. That particular product belongs to that place, and the qualities which are being attributed in that product is because of its geographical location, like the Darjeeling tea. This was the first GI which was given to some Indian product, and it was in some 2005, I think it was given, Darjeeling tea. This was the logo which was given to, this is the GI tag given to Darjeeling tea. So if any other tea which is coming from Darjeeling and is not having this GI tag, then they cannot claim that they have the same aroma or same flavor which this Darjeeling GI tag tea has, right? So there are so many tea gardens in Darjeeling, but all the tea gardens or all the tea garden societies, they do not have this GI tag. There are certain societies which are given this GI tag because they are growing only that aroma filled tea in their gardens, right? So that particular property is because by virtue of the climatic conditions or the Himalayan or there is conditions where this particular tea gardens are being situated. So soil, climate and everything, and the skill which is being involved, right? So it is also about the skill, like Swiss watches. Swiss watches, they belong to Switzerland, everyone knows, but they are not grown over there, right? So they are given the GI tag. Why? Because that skill which was required, that artmanship which was required, craftsmanship which was required, that was perfect in that particular locality, and it was not found anywhere else. So any other watch which is being sold under the title of Swiss watch does not guarantee that that particular craftsmanship was involved. That's why this particular GI tags were given, so that the rights of the actual owner of these qualities were protected. Now, we were talking about the industrial value. So patents have certain industrial value. What do patents do? Once the patents are being granted, they are granted for any technological advancement, right? So what do? They improve the quality of life. When these technological, the furniture caster, what did it do? It improved our quality of life. Then by getting patents and by working in the field of patents, new products, new processes, new manufacturing techniques, they are made available to public at large. For a certain period, they are with the patentee, right? For only for 20 years, the rights are given. And after that, they have to come to public domain. So in a way, what they are doing, they are adding in the technological advancement of a particular area. they are adding to the technological advancement to an industry. Certain new products which are being launched in the industry, in the market, and the general public at large, the researchers, the students, the industrialists, and the consumers, all are being made aware of a certain knowledge which was otherwise with a single person. So these patents, what they do, they add to these techniques and they provide this quality life to the public at large. And trademarks, they provide the brand loyalty. I told you that how these brand loyalty can be established, and they create the brand awareness. And one thing I forgot to tell you that trademarks can also be the slogans which are being associated with, right? There are certain advertisements where we see like there was one Everest company when launched its pepper chili, so they advertised it with Everest ka tikha lal. So this Everest ka tikha lal cannot be copied and cannot be used by any other chili producing company in the same field, right? So once we listen that it's tikha lal, so we, in our mind we are very sure that if it is a tikha lal, it has to be Everest brand chili powder, right? So this kind of brand awareness is being associated with these trademarks. So this trademarks can also be the slogans, they can also be the songs, even the smell or the associated with that particular product. It can also be registered as a trademark under the Trademark Act. And these trademarks, what they do, they bring the quality and the goodwill to the company or the industry. Then designs, they establish new styles in the sector, in the industry, and it becomes very easy for a consumer in the selection of product, right? If we want a can, so we will look for a can, and if we want a bottle, then we look for a bottle. But for the same product, we can have the bottle as well as the can. So what they do, they make us like easy in the selection of products. If there are two cans, where there will be dissimilarity in the cans, like Pepsi can will be different and the Coca-Cola can will be different. You will never see the two cans with the designs registered with having the same outer appearance. So it becomes very easy for you to select a product from the shelf. Then GIs, they give value to the commodity. The certain commodity, it is like they give certain value which is being associated with that commodity, which was earlier, which was copied, which was patented, which was protected by illegal means. So once this GI tag has been given to that commodity, so that can be associated with that particular region, and that particular region or the societies or the small industries or some traditional knowledge holders, they can be the like we can say that the knowledge holders for that, and they can be rewarded for that, because over the years why this GI was given, over the years these holders or the knowledge holders were the actual protectors of that skills or the craftsmanship which was involved to keep the quality of that product till date. So that is why this was chosen that GI tag should be given to these knowledge holders. Now we'll come out to patents. What is being protected under patents? New useful machines, products, articles, processes, methods, or manner of manufacturing of those products, right? So here I have given you one example of this motorbike machine. So in this motorbike machine, both are motorbikes. This is the advanced version of this machine. So all the technology which is being involved in the processing, manufacturing of this machine, and even this machine, the whole product, it can be protected. It can also be protected. And the method and the manufacture where these are manufactured, the method by which these are manufactured, the detailed process also becomes a protectable subject matter. And we can say that it is we can say like just like trademarks and the trade secrets. In this particular trade, there is some set of procedures which are being involved for the production of this outcome of this product. So all this procedure, they also can be protected under the trademarks. And in this, the subject matters are being protected. These are the subject matter. While in copyright, it is only the expression, the outer appearance, what it is coming out can be protected. Similar is the case with the industrial designs. The subject matter is new or original industrial designs. Here I have shown you the chairs, but these chairs, they all are being protected under the industrial designs, the design, the outer appearance, these are protected. But there are certain exceptions, that designs dictated essentially by the technical or functional considerations. So if it has to be a chair, it should look like a chair. Like chair has to be, what is the purpose of the chair? Chair is for sitting purpose. So basic, some seat should be there. I'm not talking about the legs. One can sit on this chair, one can sit on this chair, one can sit on this chair. So chair is for the sitting purpose. So sitting is the design which is being dictated essentially by technical or functional consideration. But a chair can have different designs. It may have legs, it may not have legs. It may have 3 legs, it may have 4 legs, like that. So all those designs which are new and original, and they are not dictated like this. They are away from the essential features for which that particular product is. They can be protected. Now comes the trademarks. Under the trademarks, the visible signs, the symbols, the words, or any combination of the signs, the symbols, the words, the slogans, the smell, or any song associated with that particular brand or the product becomes the subject matter of protection under the trademarks. I was telling about the Godrej. Godrej has both these trademarks. But if you look at the style is the same. So this is the trademark. It was in black and white. Later on, they applied with this colorful trademarks, but the style is same. They have not changed the style. If they would have changed the style, then they would have lost the reputation which they have earned with this style of writing the trademark. Okay, so these are the trademarks, like these are the products. These are all Godrej products, and these are also Godrej products. These are appliances. So we can have, if these appliances have certain quality, so we can be sure, the customer or the consumer can be sure that I can use these products also, which are coming out of the Godrej factory or the Godrej industry. So this is the reputation which is being earned by Godrej in the market. Now they can enter into any form of consumable product because they have this trademark security with them. These are also the important, or we can say the major trademarks, like Hindustan Unilever Limited. So these also is HUL trademark. These are also HUL. These are all Unilever. Even Atta, they are into the Atta. Annapurna Atta. We like if we talk about the company Unilever company, Unilever by the name, it is we cannot say that it is much relevant to this Atta. But in India, they saw the market and they launched this Annapurna Atta. It is a Hindustan Unilever product. Then we have this Kisan ketchup. Kisan is a Unilever product. So likewise, they can enter into any brand. This Medimix. Medimix is an Indian company. This is the Cholai private limited company. They launched when this Medimix. Now Medimix is in different forms. But by the, like when you hear of Medimix, when you see a Medimix, then you know what Medimix is all about. We know that Medimix, okay, this soap will have certain quality. It will have some herbal content in it, right? So this kind of reputation is being associated with that particular product. Now, subject matter which is being protected under the indications is for a good as originating in the territory or a region or a locality where a given quality, reputation or other characteristics of the goods is attributed to the geographical origin. And these are some of the GI tags of India which I have listed. And this is the Kolhapuri chappal. This belongs to Kolhapur region in Maharashtra. Then we have Pochampalli Ikkat design. This is a special design which we find in a particular region. In a Pochampalli village, they certain weavers, they had this craftsmanship. Now it is being registered under the GI tag. And once they are registered under a certain tag, then once some legal sanctity is associated with that product, then the value of the product, it improvises. Now the earlier what we now the we cannot find these illegitimate products under the Pochampalli Ikkat saris. So they have to be having certain they have to be from certain weavers group, and they have this pattern only can be seen on these saris only. Likewise, we have Lucknow chicken curry, this handicraft, or what we can say that it is a stitching pattern which is there in Lucknow region, and it is given to those societies. Then we have Nagpur oranges, the aroma, the flavor in the oranges, it belongs to only that particular region. It has come out of being there, grown in that particular region. And this is the Chanderi sari, it belongs to Madhya Pradesh. Then we have filigree. Then we have these toys, Kodapalli toys, then Kanjivaram saris, and this is the beetle leaf. This is the Kerala, I think Tribur in Kerala. They have been given this GI tag for this. It has got some pungent aroma and the flavor which is there in this beetle leaf. So they are given this GI tag to this. And these are the Rasabella banana. They are the short bananas with a certain sweetness which is not found in bananas from any other region. So these are the major GI tags which are given, and I'll give you one major example of everybody is talking about this basmati rice. So we have basmati rice, then Pakistan region, actually this Hindu Kush region mainly for the cultivation for that basmati rice, and the whole area so is having that property by which that particular aroma and the length of the rice grain is there in those varieties, right? So recently Pakistan has also applied for GI. How these rights are being given? The Pakistan applied for the GI tag, and they are being given GI tag. India has also applied for the GI tag, but only for the basmati rice grown in the Indian region. So likewise, some of the rights, or I could say that they are territorial rights. Intellectual property rights are territorial rights. So we can exhibit those rights, and we can like exploit those rights up to our territorial waters. Like India, and then Andaman Nicobars, the mainland, the Andaman Nicobars, the Lakshadweep. Likewise, all the likewise where we have our jurisdiction. So there only we can exploit these rights. Hence, it is very important to protect our rights so that others do not exploit our rights and they do not trespass into our rights. So this is the status of IPR laws in India. We have Copyright Amendment Act, we have Designs Act, then Trademarks Act, the Geographical Indications Act, then Patents Amendment Act, then Patents Act 1970, and with various amendments. There are various amendments. From time to time, they are being carried out in this act according to the requirement of the society and the market, and as well as and when some requirements are generated by virtue of the Indian government signing certain treaties at the international level. So we need to amend our acts also. Likewise, we have Plant Variety Protection Acts and Semiconductor Act. Now, when we talk about the career opportunities, what I could list out was that you can be an examiner of patents and design, you can be registrar of copyright, trademarks, GI registrar, then one can become IPR agents, associates and lawyers, then we have IP managers, then we have in universities and this national law universities and national law schools, we have these professors and researchers which can do research in this intellectual property rights area. So there are many opportunities. When we talk about the examiners or the controllers or the registrars, what do? They are responsible for the protection and the provision of the rights to the intellectual property holder. So once you become the examiner, controller or registrar, and then you become the total authority from the government. You are part of the government and you can are responsible for the grant or the rejection of their intellectual property. So what do? They examine the applications as per the law. So you have to be strong enough to see the application in a technical manner, whatever technicality is involved, and you have to be smart enough to know whether it is applicable under law. Law means the Patent Act, the Copyright Act, the GI Act, various acts which were listed. So you have to be specialized in both the fields. And then these examiners, what do? They report to the controller. And if there are certain opposition cases, they also act as judge. So you have to be very clear in this techno-legal field to behave like or act like an examiner. These are the government jobs I'm talking about. Then what do? They conduct the search for anticipation, because intellectual property rights are given only for the novel products, novel processes. So they look for whether it is novelty. Novelty is there or not. Novelty means absolute novelty. It is not the related novelty. The rights are territorial, but the novelty has to be global. So, and then they look for the IPC classification. There are certain classification classes under which the products and the processes are classified in the act. So they have to be classified, like this particular technology is being given under which classification. And so this is required because the industries which are proliferating in those classes, they can exploit their patent or whatever trademark in that particular class only, right? So then they prepare the report, and these reports are being given to the intellectual property holder and even to the opposition. If there is certain opposite parties there, then there is a court set up, and then you behave like a judge whether the right should be given to the IP holder or not. And then they can be the chairman and the member of opposition board, assisting controllers in the opposition matters. Then India being the search authority and the preliminary examination authority also, by being signing this TRIPS agreement in 1995, we became signatory to TRIPS, and then India has the obligation that, okay, whatever rights other countries which are signatory to the TRIPS agreement through WIPO, they will give same rights to their citizens. So same kind of rights. So in the similar manner, once we are signatory, we have certain obligation. So if a US company is filing a patent in India, so we have to examine that also, and we have to give those rights for Indian territory to that particular company. So likewise, the examiners, the controllers and registrars, they are the very responsible positions in the area of intellectual property rights. And I would like to say that these are the gazetted positions in Government of India under the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion, under the Ministry of Industry and Commerce. Then we have IP management jobs. IP management, they are the managers which manage the IP, intellectual property of a company, right? So there are many law firms. They have these. They also do this IP management job, but otherwise the companies, they also hire these IP managers on their payroll. So what do these IP managers do? They prepare the landscape reports, devise the product development, they devise the strategy, they ensure non-infringement of the product and the patent filing and prosecution. whatever the company is doing, like I told you, Hindustan Unilever, if the same detergent is being produced by any other company. So this IP management, this IP management cell, what it will do, it will see like our product, how we can like show to the consumers that our product is much better than other companies' product. So they manage these cases. Then strategic thinking. They identify the risk and the opportunity in the market, in the areas, and they highlight them to the company owners. Then they should be familiar with the laws. Likewise, they should be very legal smart, and they should be filing the all the filing procedure and the dealing with the patent office and the dealing with the copyright or any trademark registry office. So they should be very well versed with this whole procedure. Then they are very much required. They bridge the gap between the stakeholders and the whole system. Like in the particular industry, the consumers, the competitors, the venture capitalists, then the government departments, all these becomes the stakeholders in the particular product in which the company is dealing, right? So these IP managers, what do? They bridge the gap. They deal with all these stakeholders, and they devise a strategy for the company to manage their intellectual property. Then they should be well aware of the changing legal scenario, the changing amendments if there are any in the acts, and the outcomes, and they very carefully analyze, and they add up to the growth of the company. They give their opinions, and they add up to the, like we can say, the revenue growth. So they are very much the important pillar, we can say, in a private company or in a particular industry, if they have this knowledge of intellectual property rights. Then we have IPR agents, associates, and lawyers. So there are many law firms which deal with in this intellectual property rights, and they are involved in drafting and filing of Indian and foreign applications. Then they handle all the formality requirements with the Indian intellectual property offices and coordinating with the foreign associates if the company is interested in launching its products in other like countries also. Then because if they are interested in their market, then they need to have their territorial rights in that particular company if the company wants to tap the market of other countries, right? So they are also prepare and file the response to the first examination report. Then there are second examination. These examination reports are being issued by the granting authorities like registries and the examiners and the controllers. So they file response to these reports. Then they communicate with the clients and the report. Then they also do searches for patentability, for freedom to operate in the market, for any prior art if it is available, for any invalidation, like from these searches only they can oppose others' intellectual properties in the patent office or in any of the IP offices. Then they are also an important component in opinion making or assignments or IP monetization, likewise, or any research or technical, legal, or any revocation proceedings are required. So all these things are being dealt by the patent agents, and they defend the cases of the companies in the cases these court cases also. These cases are being held at similar as other properties in the district court, then in the high court, and then later in the Supreme Courts. So likewise, they represent the industries or the companies there. Then why this IPR? Why there is so much of use and chaos about IPR? Why I'm talking so much about IPR? Because if you see that industry, no doubt they are growing very fast. Every industry is going very fast, and the technologies are getting obsolete. You must have been seeing in last 10 years, whatever technology was there, today we are not using that technology. It is not required. So likewise, so local businesses are also being involved. Earlier, mainly major industrialists, they were going into this IPR business. But now the small business and small companies, MSMEs, likewise, everyone is into protection of their intellectual property. So if we know about the intellectual property, we know about what rights are there, and how we can protect, and how we can protect ourselves, even others. We should exclude others from trespassing into our boundaries. So it becomes a very like good opportunity and a career option for all of us. And the major part is that it is not limited to any science stream or arts stream or any commerce field. Any student of any field can enter into this particular like subject, and it can apply and it go in this particular field as a career option. Now patent docketing is being done, then patent searching, then there are paralegal jobs which are being outsourced in India by all those companies. Why they are being outsourced? Because if they do these kind of jobs in their countries, I am talking about the developed countries like EU and US. So what they are doing, this IBM, the example I am giving, IBM is outsourcing it job of patent analytics to Indian engineers. We have huge we can say abundance of engineers in India. So every year, so many engineers are coming out of these engineering institutes and colleges. So what they are doing, this IBM is outsourcing everything for even for their IP. So we have this potential. Then GSK company is outsourcing work of prior art search to Indian pharma graduates. Now Indian pharma graduates are also involved in IPR. So you can see the potential of this IPR market in India. Then if you are working in this field, you will have the opportunity to work in international brand MNCs, multinational companies. These companies, they have good research budget, and they normally spend the major part of this budget, they spend on the intellectual properties, because by this IP protection, they are earning huge. They are earning more than by selling their products. So likewise, you can see the potential. These IT industries like Google, Facebook, Samsung, IBM, GSK, Ranbaxy, Dr. Reddy's, every company, each company, they have their intellectual property rights cells in them. And even now the Indian government has made it mandatory for the educational institutes, the universities to have at least one IPR cell, which is looking into the protection of intellectual property which is being created at their campus or that organization. So you can see the potential of intellectual property rights. What do these companies do? They create market, and they create and market their products at the global level. So at the global level, they are not going to have their lawyers. So what they do, they have their IPR cell, they depute people, they appoint people for their IPR cell, and this IPR cell takes care of their all the products in all the countries. So it is giving them an extra edge. So these are the opportunities from my side, and I hope if there are any questions, I'll be like happy to answer.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really a wonderful journey, I would say, to start from all the different kinds of options that are there under the Patenting Act. The very first question that is coming is that what does actually patent means?
Patent is a right. Patent is an intellectual property right which is given to the patentee by the law in the field of science and technology for a technological advancement for an invention. You can define it like this.
That means individual right on certain things. कि सिर्फ एक जने का ही अधिकार है उसके ऊपर.
नहीं, ऐसा नहीं है. पेटेंट में applicant can be anyone, any organization can be. It is given to the applicant. Patent rights are given to the applicant, and the act says the applicant can be the true or the first inventor. Applicant can be a legal entity to whom the inventor has assigned his rights. Applicant can be an organization which is applying to the patent office on behalf of true or the first inventor. So if the inventor has assigned his rights to the applicant, then the patent belongs to the applicant.
Okay, so applicant can be a company or a group of people also?
Yes.
Okay. Then one question, Gagan Sagar is asking 2-3 questions on copyright. I'll take all of them together. The first is how and where we apply for copyright. The second part of the question is, are theoretical thoughts also intellectual property rights? And the third point is that do we apply for when we apply for copyright, do we need to pay for it or is it free?
Now, first is where to apply. So there is a copyright registry office in New Delhi. It is in the Bodhik Sampada Bhavan. You can go there and apply. You can apply also online. If you look at their site, it is available and you can apply online, right? So this is about the copyright. Theoretical, like whatever idea you are having, I told you that ideas cannot be copyrighted. It is the form of expression. You have that idea, theoretical idea, some idea is there. You write that idea in the form of a book. You write that idea in the form of a research paper, or you write that idea, if you write it on a wooden piece also, so you will have copyright of that idea, which is in the form of expression, not on the idea which is in your brain. So intellectual property has to come to the creation. It is given on the creation. It is not about the theoretical idea which is in their mind. And third was the fees involved, right? So
yes.
there is certain amount of fees is involved with each type of intellectual property being registered with the office.
The way you said ki copyright center in Delhi. So does copyright centers are available in all states of India or only in Delhi?
It is the head office is in Delhi, but we have the branches in the major states. In the metropolitan cities, there are branches, but the main office is in Delhi.
So all the books and all where they write copyright, they have to first apply and then only they can write it.
No. Copyright is by virtue of its creation, it becomes the right of the copyright holder. So you have the right. But if they, why we get it registered? Because if someday we need to establish that it is our right and we need to fight a case with some opposition party, so we should have some kind of document. It is a type of, like, you have the registry of your plot, otherwise the plot on which you are residing, it is your right. But you have the registry document also to show if they, in case of any dispute. So it is like that.
Okay, thank you. The next question is that a few institutes which provide degree or diploma in IPR in the field of scientific research and development.
There are national law universities which provide degree in intellectual property right, graduate degree as well as the postgraduate degrees. Then there are other institutes like what I would say, there are institutes like there are scientific institutes like I would say that CSIR, I'm talking about CSIR. We have this Academy of CSIR which provides MSc courses and PhD courses. But in these courses, it is mandatory to have one credit course on intellectual property rights. So this credit course is a valid, you can say, a document or a proof that you have studied, you have a knowledge of intellectual property rights. And World Intellectual Property Organization, WIPO, it also offers this IP related courses. There are certain free courses also which are available, and paid courses which can be done online on WIPO. So you can look for that also. Those are also like, and they have certain value and they are recognized, I would say, apart from national law universities.
Okay. What does bioethics mean?
Bioethics is very much different from, like we can say, intellectual property. Bioethics means like we are doing some research and some biological component means any life science is involved. So whether it is animal science or a plant science or any microorganism or anything. So we are working in that field, and uh, there are certain ethical ways of pursuing some study. So those ways, ethical ways, are known as bioethics, right? And I would cite an example, like I would say, like we have this Biodiversity Authority, NBA, and we have Biodiversity Authority Act. So if there are some why these acts and why these intellectual property acts were being required by the society, why this protection was required, because the society was playing with all these things which are available, or these intellectual properties or creations which were available in the society or around the globe. They are working in a very unethical manner. That's why this need arose to have certain acts and certain protections in each area. So in the similar manner, the bioethics are involved in if we are pursuing research related to any biological form. So there should not be the over exploitation. So from time to time, these bioethics are being given some legal sanctity by the governments, by the state governments, by the international bodies, or through treaties or agreement, so that we do not over exploit our nature. These are the resources, natural resources. So these comes under the bioethics, ethical way of using biological resources.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Another question is, as you said, that slogans can also be trademarked. So before using these slogans, they are to be trademarked, or after using and once they become their taglines, then they are trademarked?
It depends. Like if you are very smart enough, you are launching a product and you want to tap a huge market and you don't want your competitors into that market, then you protect your trademark and then you launch your slogan. And if you have launched your slogan and thereafter you are looking in the market that, oh, these oppositions are there, and now I lose my market, I lose my customers, and then I go for trademark, then you lose that period in which your trademark was not registered, your slogan was not registered. Then there will not be any claim on that particular, during that particular period, on your trademark which you have already used.
So like if somebody, if I take the case you discussed, like Everest Ka Tikha Lal. So maybe they started with the ad and say after 5 months they realized, oh, it's become quite catchy. And meantime, someone else started it. So how will the arbitration be tackled after 5 months when Everest says this is mine and the other person says, no, this is mine?
Actually, the right starts from the date of getting it registered. So if you want to have your right was not there when it was not registered. So the day it was registered, from that day onwards, we can sue that person and have claim over the market which that other company has captured by using your slogan. Only after that. Before that, we were not having that right over when it was not registered, whether it was catchy or not. Now it lies in the interest of, now the company decides whether they want to launch it first and they want to make it popular and then go for registration. If they are so much like they are assured that it will catch and the consumers will be like we can tap a certain amount of consumers with this slogan, then they go beforehand.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. And the last question is, you talked about semiconductor, it was
Integrated
like
circuits. Yeah.
Integrated Circuit Design Act. So could you please elaborate a bit on it?
In electronic equipments, actually, if you say the intellectual property involved in any electronic equipment is its integrated circuit. So that circuit, in what form that circuit is being framed or made, that becomes the intellectual property creation for, and it is like, it is the crux. The whole device is working on that circuit. So that's why this act was made to protect that integrated circuit which is there in the any electronic equipment. So that can be protected. I would say that if we say about it, like, I'll make it clear. If there is any electrical, I'll say like a TV. So a TV television has a certain appearance which can be protected under trademark, under designs. Then the trademark to which company it belongs to. Then integrated circuit can be protected under the Integrated Circuit Protected Act. Then the technology involved for the use of this IC circuit for this picture which is coming onto the screen, some technology is involved. So in this technology, whole technology, this whole procedure, now this becomes a process, subject matter for the intellectual property. Now it becomes the subject matter for patent, right? So in the same electronic equipments, different components can be protected in a different ways, and the whole product can be tapped for a very massive, huge commercial benefit. Each has its own impact, right? You have right on each and every aspect of an electronic equipment.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for wonderfully explaining all the concepts, and in a very easy and simple manner that it was easy to understand and go through it. I hope the students would have definitely been benefited by it, and an avenue that even after taking up the technical know-how, you can go in for the IPR
Yes.
also.
Yes.
So with these words, I thank everyone, and I take this opportunity to thank our speaker, Dr. Kanika. I think Manoj is there now. So Manoj, over to you.
So thank you. Thank you very much, Poonam. Thank you very much, Dr. Kanika ji, for sparing your valuable time with all the attendees, the students, the teachers, as well as the faculty members of Deendayal Upadhyaya College. And on behalf of the National Academy of Sciences India Delhi chapter and Deendayal Upadhyaya College, I would like to thank you once again. And also to all the attendees who have been there. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.